Live from the 4077 Country Club Golf Course and Minefield, this is the Best Care Anywhere podcast. I am your host, Anthony, here with my friend Jaski.
Hello, hello.
And the wandering homeless vagrant that is Wilson.
It's good to be here, wherever here may be.
Fabulous. Gentlemen, how are you this fine day?
Well, it's gotten a little roasty toasty in California, so
Just
a bit sweaty.
And things are already on fire.
Well, they never really stopped being on fire, did they?
Well, it depends if we're talking from a philosophical or a realistic standpoint.
Well, no. I mean, there's a website, and please, if you're listening to this podcast right now and you have your mobile phone nearby, you feel free to look it up, called iscaliforniaonfire.com. You could go there right now, and I will bet you all the money I have in my wallet, which is basically nothing, that it says yes, because California is always on fire.
And if it ever isn't, then we'll fix that.
Oh, Jesus. So yeah, welcome to the second official episode of the Best Care Anywhere podcast. Last week we kind of just did a synopsis on what we, the three hosts, know about MASH and kind of what our understanding and experience with MASH is. Mm-hmm. Since then, it's been 2 weeks, and lots of people have listened to the podcast and given their feedback, including my mother. She had my favorite comment about the podcast so far. She's like, "So are you gonna let the other two talk, or?" I'm like, yes, we talked about that before the episode, where the whole point of that episode was to bring everyone up to speed, and that I was going to do most of the talking. But luckily, you have both watched the pilot episode, yes?
Yes, very recently.
So you guys can also do the speaking, which will be nice.
Yeah, we'll
do that right now.
Oh, Jesus Christ. So before we get into that, are there any... I will now open the floor to any personal comments and or discussions, soliloquies, monosyllabics, what goes on in your world that you would like to share, or should we just get into the MASH?
Ooh. Wilson, you got anything?
I've been doing a lot of camping, I am a bit of a wandering vagrant, as you so nicely put it earlier, and so the stench of moldy canvas is still fresh in my mind, so I think that I am more than qualified to watch this episode and give my opinions on it.
Your opinion on moldy canvas, anyway.
That's right, my area of expertise.
Okay.
Excellent.
Okay.
How about you, Jaski?
Well, I can't really say that too much has happened, My palms are a bit sweatier now than they were 2 weeks ago, but I think that's just from the heat.
Gross.
Yes.
Did you want to share the story you were going to share last week that we forgot about?
Which one? There was like 3.
Did you want to talk about your wiggly eyes?
Oh, I mean, sure.
I think that was the story you were going to share.
Yes, I think it was. So, okay, I think I know where I'm going to start this. So, let's see. It's the middle of May already. Wow. So this would have been about a month ago now, a little over a month ago. I got my hands on the I guess it's technically the Meta Quest 2, the Quest 2 VR headset. Very fancy, very schmancy. Finally got my hands on what I've wanted to try out VR for a while, very big in the whole tech aspect of things. And I get it. I try it on. I think, wow, this is great. Everything's a little blurry, but, I looked it up, and that tends to happen. You just got to fix the headset a little bit and it'll be fine. So I give it to my dad to try, right? Because he's wanted to try VR too, Give it to him. He tries it out, uses it for a bit, gives it back to me and says, that was great. Yeah. Ask him, could you see everything all right? He's like, yeah, no, I could read everything just fine. Now, keep in mind, love my father. He is a wonderful human being, but he is recently had to wear his glasses more and more frequently. He's getting a little nearsighted now. But he could see everything in perfect clarity. Everything was in focus. When I put the headset on, everything is just a little fuzzy. Just a little bit. And that made me go, I'm in danger. At least my eyes are. So I get out the old meme generator and I go on Reddit and I start looking up astigmatism memes. Now, for those of you who do not know what Wilson, do you know what astigmatism is?
Yes, I do. From your meme and meme alone.
Ah, well, there you go. For those of you who don't know what an astigmatism is, it's where your cornea, like the little outer part of your eye that you can actually like touch, is a little thicker where it's not supposed to be.
And my boy got them thick corneas.
You got them thick corneas. Now, if anyone out there is an actual like eye doctor or an eye person, please correct me, because this is very non-specific knowledge. This is all very much hearsay and stuff I vaguely remember reading. But it's where your cornea is a little thicker, and thus when the light enters your eye, it bends slightly at the wrong angle, just at the slight wrong angle, so that light sources look a little fuzzy. For example, when I'm driving at night, headlights, like oncoming traffic's headlights, will look like really elongated, fuzzy halos around them. I don't know how else to describe it. It's a very unique phenomenon.
You learned this isn't normal.
Oh, yeah. I've lived with astigmatisms my whole life. I thought that's how car lights were supposed to look. Like Christmas lights, little LED Christmas lights, people throw on trees. I always loved how they looked because they actually looked like stars with how fuzzy and pointy they were, and how the Christmas trees always looked like they had starlight in them. It was always so nice. Apparently, that's not how you're supposed to see things. So I recently went to the eye doctor and got a good old prescription that should be here hopefully within the next week.
All this is to remind you from your friendly host Wilson to shave down those corneas.
No, I don't like that.
Whatever you do,
I don't like that.
Shave your corneas. For legal reasons, that's a joke.
For medical and safety reasons, that's a joke.
Yeah, that too.
Do not listen to half of what Wilson says. All right. Yeah. Well, that's quite the journey of self-discovery.
Yeah. To make a long story short, I bought a $300 VR headset, and that told me I have bad eyes, so I can't actually use it that well.
Oh,
so now I have to get glasses. It's a whole kerfuffle.
Do I even want to know how thick your prescription is?
I don't even know.
Oh boy!
I'll see it when it arrives.
Those bullets can stop. Those bullets. Wow. Those glasses can stop bullets.
Those bullets sure can stop those glasses. All right.
Oh, good Lord.
Yes, sir.
So last episode we put out. I say we. I run the social media, but we collectively, the podcast, put out a question to whatever fan base did or did not exist at the time, asking people when did they first see MASH? How did they become familiar with it? Such and so on. We got that one response on Instagram, but we've gotten a couple more since then, and I wanted to share them. Let's see. I had this pulled up. Ready? There it is. From Donut Eater 111 on Twitter.
Oh.
So the names of the people that have followed us on the social media they're great. I love
fantastic.
This.
They're all fantastic.
I got into MASH through reruns in my teens, sometime between the late 90s and early 2000s. I believe it was the Trapper Blake years, so the early seasons. And I appreciated the unique take on the army humor. Over time, I grew to love it for its dramedy and its experimentation. That's something I can agree on. Chief Smash Forever. I think he's a fan of MASH and the Chiefs. I don't know why I'm getting that vibe off of him. He started watching with a friend in middle school and was hooked from there. And he also, you should go check out the Twitter, because he also shared his extensive collection of MASH memorabilia. Ooh. Including a couple of signed scripts, like the actors' copies.
That's cool. That's pretty cool.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
I told you guys about this one because their Twitter handle is great. This lightsaber kills fascists. Was born in 74, so MASH was always with me. It was amazing that so many kids ended up loving the show. It's my favorite show of all time, and one I can never tire of. It's comfort viewing for me. Looking forward to this. Aw. And
I can't help but feel like that this lightsaber kills fascists could just be Mark Hamill under an alternate username.
Mark Hamill under an alternate username.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Who knows? Who's to say?
And I know these people are real MASH fans because they either have MASH in their Twitter handle or their profile icon. Like lightsaber kills fascists is literally Hawkeye. That's their profile picture. So it's like, oh, we have hit the right market, I think. So
The algorithm is
so
working.
yeah. And this is something I also asked my mom, because my mom is a fan of the podcast. Hi, Mom. Say hi to my mother, damn it.
Oh God,
Hello,
sorry.
Mother.
Hello, Mother. Hi. How you doing?
But she said also that she never really like sat down and was like, yeah, Smash is on, let's watch it. It was always just kind of there. And
There in the
that seems to be
background.
like, that seems to be the common theme. It's like, no one like was like, oh my gosh, MASH is on, everyone stop what you're doing. It seems like it was just kind of like, at least
hey,
from,
MASH is on.
oh, hey, MASH. Yeah, if
Yeah,
it's here
yeah.
and I'm here, therefore this is happening. So
Mhm.
it's kind of interesting that seems to be the running theme for people who have discovered MASH. But
Yeah.
anyway, season 1, episode 1, the pilot.
Yes.
I do have a tiny bit more background information, sort of like last week, just because some of it's interesting.
Mhm.
We talked last week about how they wanted to make it a TV show, and literally the entire planet was like, no, but they did it anyway.
But they did it anyway.
The first actor hired was Gary Berghoff. That's Radar, and he is the only actor they approached from the movie for a full-time role,
Really?
like a main role. Yep.
Wow.
There's one other person we see in the first episode that is from the movie, but he's not one of the main. He's a side character.
Mhm.
They tested 6 actors for the role of Trapper and ultimately cast Wayne Rogers. Rogers was a fairly well-known actor who had been a star of a couple soap operas. McLean Stevenson, the Colonel Blake, was suggested for the role by CBS. Larry Linville and Loretta Swit were also quickly cast because Metcalf remembered them from other performances he'd seen on stage and television. And about 4 weeks before the pilot was to be shot, Alan Alda's agent approached Reynolds and Metcalf on behalf of Alda, trying to get him the job. Alda was not convinced to do it. He was kind of on the fence. He didn't think the show was gonna. He didn't have confidence in the show, but his wife convinced him to try it out. He agreed to do the show, but only after he had finished up on a TV movie called The Glass House, and that was going to finish filming one day before they started shooting the pilot, which means if anything changed, they would have 24 hours to recast Hawkeye.
Wow, talk about a tight schedule.
Yep. But luckily, Alda pulled through, and anyone who has seen MASH even a little bit knows that I cannot picture Hawkeye being played by anyone else. Actually, Colonel Blake, McLean Stevenson wanted the role of Hawkeye, which is just weird to me.
No,
That just doesn't work in my head.
No way.
But
wow,
was
that
anyone
Huh.
notable on deck to play Hawkeye should Alan Alda drop?
not that I saw. They were kind of dead set on Alan Alda. So yeah, that was kind of the what they were going into. I will say this, and if either of the two of you know who these two are, keep it to yourself. Only 2 of the characters and actors you see in main roles in this first episode make it to the series finale, which is very weird to think about, but we'll get into it. So, thoughts? I guess we'll just kind of tiptoe through the episode, but thoughts at all about season 1, episode 1 as we start talking about it? What was your thoughts going into it? Like, what were you expecting for the pilot episode of MASH?
I wasn't really sure what to expect, because I mean it's been so long since I've seen the beginning of the show that I couldn't even describe to you what would look like. I wasn't sure, and it took all of 15 seconds before I had things I wanted to bring up.
Well, let's get into that, because I personally, for me, the first 60 to 70 seconds of this pilot, just the introduction, might be my favorite beginning episode of a series ever. Like, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the music or just the vibe, the Hawaiian shirts.
Everything.
I don't know.
It's So I'll get to that. But the first thing that caught my attention was Korea, 1950. I'm like, okay, 100 years ago. Oh, do you want to know? 100 years ago, implying that the show is airing in 2050, right?
Well,
That
yes
is only 28 years away.
Don't shut up.
Shut
I hate that.
But that struck me as something I was like, oh, interesting. It was really filmed a while ago.
But
I mean,
here's
it wasn't filmed in 1950, obviously, but
yeah, it was. This would have been filmed in early 72, late 71, I think.
yeah.
I don't have that in front of me, but no, the 100 years ago, being more of a military nut, that's implying that when this was filmed, the Korean War started only 22 years earlier.
Mm-hmm.
But Korea is known as the Forgotten War.
Mm-hmm.
It's not. It's because you have World War II in Vietnam. Everyone just kind of skips right over Korea.
Yeah.
Even as soon after as 20 years later, people are just like, "What, Korea?" So that's more of what it's implying, is that, hey, yeah, remember that actual war we fought in? Yeah.
Yeah, that. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, this, like I said, this is one of my favorite opening title sequences of any TV show. Again, the music, the weird vibe, like Korea, and we're golfing, and
Hawaiian shirts for some reason.
You're golfing into a minefield, which pretty much summarizes this show in ways that I cannot fully express yet.
So, Wilson, what was your first vibe? The first 15 seconds of the show.
A flood of memories, just a lot of. Oh, I remember this character doing this thing, and wow, they really did just shoot that right outside Hollywood and expect us to believe it's Korea. But honestly, just the first 60 to 70 seconds, like you said, they have a lot of little visual humor packed in there.
Yeah, I think my favorite one is Major Houlihan and Major Burns are sitting together.
God.
One's reading the Bible, the other is reading an army officer's manual, but they're playing footsies under the card table.
And they're playing footsies with nothing on.
That might be the best condensed version of their two characters you could possibly put in the first 10 seconds of this show. Oh my goodness. So yeah, we get that. We get, just kind of the day around camp. It looks like Henry's doing surgery, but he's really trying to open a champagne bottle. Life is normal, but then Radar has his radar, his extrasensory perception, and
radar.
And then all of a sudden shit's getting serious. Real.
And people actually like, okay, gotta get back to work. But actually. Yeah.
Most of these shots, 2/3 of them we never see again. Ever. But a lot of them, like the helicopters coming to land, the helicopter coming around the mountain, even the shots of the doctors unloading wounded will be the same shots all the way through the 11 seasons. In fact, once you get toward the later seasons, you can still see Trapper loading wounded onto a Jeep, even though it's just barely off screen. It's still the original shot, so it's kind of cool seeing him for the first time.
Yeah.
Oh, I will mention, because like I said, we got, at least and I know Wilson has the episode kind of on mute so we can skim through it and be reminded of things.
Yeah.
I noticed that there's actually a camera shot in this in the title sequence where it's shot from the ground up toward Hawkeye and a nurse as they're talking about a patient. That's very interesting that shot's in the very first episode, because there is an episode later in the show where they kind of take that concept and run with it for an episode, and it's a really fun episode. A really innovative episode. So it kind of struck me as weird. We kind of got a little bit of that here in the first episode. But so yeah, title sequence ends, and then we're into the episode, into OR for the first time. So yeah, you guys are free to bring up any thoughts, comments.
I don't think. No, that's it. I just don't think. No, I don't think I've seen a pilot with characters as full form and fleshed out as they already are. And I know you were talking a little bit about it in the previous episode that, the pilot wasn't really well received and neither was the first season, yada, yada, yada. But, we're 45 seconds in and you already have, a pretty firm grasp on who Hawkeye is and definitely who Frank Burns is. And it's just, you're introduced to them so well and so naturally, but you already see so much of their character and how their character is going to be throughout the show. And I just thought that was really cool.
So yeah, another thing I have on my notes here is we get one of the most long running and some of my favorite episodes. And spoiler alert, Wilson, you've watched the whole first season already.
I'm sorry, man. I sat down like right after we recorded the first episode to watch the first episode, and then I go, cool, episode 2, click, and before I know it, I'm on season 1, episode 24, thinking, oh hell, Anthony's gonna kill me.
So we never did say don't watch the rest of the show. Like obviously, you guys are free to watch it at whatever pace, and we'll just come back and talk about the episode we're on. But I did tell Wilson there are maybe 3 solid points in the show that I would rather you not know about or remember. Not know about if you haven't seen it, or be reminded of if you have forgotten about it.
Mm-hmm.
Wilson already blew by one of them, but that's okay because it's not a strict first time viewing, but there are a couple things where I'm going to be like, don't go further than this episode because I want to get your reaction, but it's no big deal. But I was struck by, and the reason I mention that is because Wilson, you're familiar with at least one of these episodes. We get a Dear Dad opening. We get the first iteration of Hawkeye. Those are some of my favorite, and that's something they end up carrying through the whole season because I think Hawkeye has 2 or 3 Dear Dad episodes where the whole premise is it's a letter to his dad and it's explaining the things that have happened.
Well,
you get a Dear Uncle Abdul from Klinger later in the series. You get, Dear Mildred, one of my favorite episodes, Dear Sigmund. But then you also get episodes that are mail call episodes. So the opposite. The whole camp is getting letters and the episode revolves around some of them are getting good news, some of them are getting bad news, some of them are getting someone else's mail, and it's hilarious. So I love that they set that up in this first episode and they run with it through the entire series.
The only critique I have on that front is it's something that I actually have in my notes is I just thought it was weird that they set it up as a Dear Dad episode and then it carries on for all of 2 minutes after the opening sequence and then it's just never mentioned again. And I don't know why, but that irked me just a little.
Yeah, but I'm wondering if again, pilot episode, a lot of this stuff is going to be anachronistic and seem like it doesn't fit. But like I said, I'm glad that they I'm sure someone said, "Hey, the thing how Hawkeye's writing a letter to his dad, let's do that for an episode," and then it stuck. And yeah, I like it.
Yeah, I've got the episode pulled up right now, and yeah, one of the things that struck me was when they got done with the title sequence and they went to the operating room for the first time. They made it look and feel very real. They made it seem like an operating room cut out on, not quite the front lines, but just about. There's nothing there's not a Starbucks cup on the table.
It's
all the props look great. Everything, the shots all look great. All the makeup's great. It's just filmed very well. Even now, decades later, still holds up pretty well.
Mm-hmm. And having never been in a MASH unit operating theater in the Korean War, I don't know how realistic it is, but it definitely the set dressing is A+, 100%. And I think I mentioned last episode they had medical personnel on the production team that could say, "Hey, this is what would be going on medically in this time period. This is how you should do this."
Mm-hmm.
Even something as simple as And again, I don't watch a whole lot of doctor shows from the 60s and 70s other than MASH. I don't know that you would ever see below the doctor's chest if he was operating at all. You get what I mean? Like some of these shots, you clearly see, oh, there are people on the tables that they are operating on. Like you get the full head to toe shot.
Yeah.
And it only gets better and more, I don't want to say realistic, but more, not realistic, but more real, quote unquote, as much as Hollywood will allow.
Mm-hmm.
But it gets, especially toward the end of the show, it gets really good with the operating scenes. But something Wilson told me, because we stayed on our little Discord call here when Wilson started watching the first episode 2 weeks ago, right after we recorded the last episode. And he pointed out to me, and I agree with this, Frank Burns' first line is also the best synopsis of his person. Like, Frank Burns might be the most well-established character for this first episode.
I think
because
he's
the same person for the next 4 seasons. But his line is, "Give me what I want, not what I asked for." And I'm like, yeah, that's I can't explain Frank Burns better than that.
That's Frank.
For our listeners, his lieutenant nurse is helping him operate, and she hands him a Kelly clamp, which is explicitly what he asked for. But then he goes to rebuke her and complain, and she goes, "Well, doctor, this is what you asked for. So then, give me what I want, not what I asked for."
Yeah, he is literally a cartoon villain, and we will see that he has 0 redeeming qualities. 0. They try they don't try. They give him a little bit of backstory as to why he is later in the season, but you only get very tiny snippets of it. He is literally there to be the show's punching bag, which for the first few seasons we'll see works, but it does get a little old after a while, but we'll get there. So
I think one of the most iconic sounds, though, is just Major Houlihan saying, just in sheer, what's the emotion she has? Despair mixed with longing of just, oh, Frank.
Frank!
I that never ceases to crack me up a little bit.
Frank!
It's just so perfect.
We'll get there. That's such a great moment too, but we'll get there. So, oh god. So another line I didn't get when I first started watching the show, but as I got over, I'm like, oh, that's what he means. Was after surgery they come out and Frank is all upset because Hawkeye's treating him like garbage, which he is. But I will say, Hawkeye or Alan Alda delivers the one line in the series that feels the most read right off the script to me. Like he delivers a line that sounds like he literally read it off the script. They said action and he read it verbatim. It's the only time in the series that kind of like my suspension of disbelief that, oh, that's an actor reading a line kind of falls away. And that's his whole, come on, Frank, we had 18 straight hours of meatball surgery in there. I think it's the only time in the show, except for maybe one other time, that he calls it meatball surgery. And it just seems so, for some reason, the way it kind of came off and sounded so canned. Like he was reading it for a high school play, which is weird because Alan Alda is and was at that time a great stage actor. So it just felt, that line always sounds weird to me, the way he says it, delivers it. But
my brain is sending me urgent rest telegrams.
That is such a camp vibe, though.
Yeah,
is that not like, why am I still here right now?
But it also in this very next scene, to Alda's credit, he delivers a really great joke. I mean, the jokes are already landing, and we're 4 minutes into the pilot. I laughed out loud at and if you're challenging my ability as a doctor, then I'm just gonna have to challenge you to a duel at 20 paces.
Swords or pistols?
Yeah.
No,
specimen bottles at 20 paces.
And it took me forever to realize that means he intends for them to walk 20 paces from the specimen bottle and piss into them.
Yep.
I didn't understand that until like maybe 5 years ago when I was watching them. Like, oh, okay.
Yeah. I think I got it just because we do urinalysis labs at campus, so I
Oh,
was familiar with
look at you
these
being
specimen
all
bottles.
smart.
Yeah. Here, students, pee into this bottle. Now bring it back here so we can examine all the sediments in it. Yeah, it's. Eee.
Dude, college is weird.
I wonder if I could pee into a specimen bottle at 20 paces.
No, you couldn't.
Go to our Patreon and you'll see a video. No, I'm kidding.
If you want to see more
$5
great
on
content
go,
like
go
this,
to our OnlyFans page and you can see the three of us. No. Oh God. Never. Maybe. No. No.
money on the table.
I have to say it because it's one of my favorite props in the whole show / camp. We get our first view of the signpost. I love the signpost so much. I know other fans of MASH love it a lot as well. It's very iconic. I love it a lot.
You also made our own scale replica for the camp we all worked at.
I tried. I wish I had the time to put a whole lot more on there. But yeah, I did try to make a signpost for right by the lodge of our camp that pointed to. It wasn't going to be places in camp. It was going to be like we had a staff member from, granted, this town, or we had one who. We had Victor from Colombia. I wanted to point one pointing straight up with how many miles up the International Space Station flew and all that. But there's so many other things to do at the camp that it just got too crazy. I did perfectly recreate the one that says Soul and put it at the top. And there were a couple adult leaders that stopped and said, I get it. And I'm like, yes!
Yes, thank you.
I'm so happy.
Thank you for validating me.
No, I think I was literally out there with my GPS unit and my compass, like actually making sure the arrows pointed the right direction.
It's really difficult to do right.
It is very difficult. It's like I eventually by like the fifth one, I'm like, it's vaguely that-ish direction.
Enough, sure.
So yeah, I love the signpost. I wish there was a way that I could have made that better at camp, but such is life. Maybe I'll go up for staff week this year, and that's just what I'll do. Like, I'm not helping you actually to get the camp ready. I'm just going to do this thing. I'm sure that'll go over
pretty.
I'm just going to make a pretty stick.
Yeah.
King stick.
And then we also get our first time in the swamp. Trademarked.
Yes, the swamp.
Very, very nice pan. We also get introduced to Hojon, which is always nice. Holding the camp nut that I think appears one other time in the entire first season.
No, what's really sad is the camp dog appears more times than the next person we meet. Spear Chucker Jones gets exact.
Yeah, Craig is back online.
All right, Craig is back online. We're back. The little bot that records our Discord audio decided to just be gone. It's gone.
Yeah,
he left a wake-up call for 1962 and just dipped. All right, kind of like Spear Chucker Jones. Anyway, he just wasn't there anymore, and no one noticed.
He decided to leave. Yep.
All right, so Spear Chucker gets one line. That's basically what I wrote in my notes. Like, yep. Hey, remember this character from the movie? He's asleep now, and you won't see him again for 3 episodes.
All right, stop asking questions. All right,
stop asking questions.
Nothing to see here. Move along.
So, next we learned that apparently Hawkeye is trying to get Hojon into his college because that's a thing that makes sense, I guess.
Well, look, if you're gonna introduce a character like Hawkeye, we all know that Frank Burns deserves it. Like, we can all agree on that. But you have to give him some redeeming qualities. If you're gonna have him be a prankster and a womanizer, you have to give him a heart of gold. And so I'm not gonna fault him too much for it.
So we learned that Dean Lodge is going to allow Hojon to come so long as they can get the tuition money. And
is that a nice place to stay?
Yeah. But no, yeah. I like, that's funny, but I like the if you do to the army what you've done to this college, America is ruined. It's like, I want to know more about that story. But they need $2,000 tuition, which is, I did the math for inflation since 1950. I don't want to guess what $2,000 tuition in 1950 comes to today.
It's like,
It was $1,000 for tuition. They just budgeted close to
Oh,
$1,000 for.
oh, that's
expensive.
right.
Yeah. So
$1,000 for tuition.
$2,000. How much?
Well,
how much do you think
It's
2,000
a
is
lot
today?
of money. I think it was I think it was like
I'd say $6,000.
It was more than it should be. 15
It would
might
be roughly $1,600 in 2022
Jesus.
to get Hojon from Korea to
Wait, 1,600?
16,000.
Yeah.
2,000. Okay.
Yeah, somehow money got worth more.
They just pulled out $16,000 from that little party. Wow, that's man, they're loaded.
Well, I don't know if you saw Lieutenant Dish, but she is Snack. Her name fits.
Is Snack. So yeah, so their whole idea is to raffle they raffle off a nurse to go to a random member of the camp to Tokyo or Seoul. Was it Seoul or Tokyo? It was Tokyo,
It was
right?
Tokyo.
And that
It was
already
Tokyo.
sounds bad.
Oh no. So they decide to go and raffle off a nurse, but in order to do so, they need the help of one Lieutenant Colonel Henry Blake because they need the 2-day passes. So we get to meet Colonel Blake, who is a civilian doctor turned military camp commander because the draft is a thing that exists. And
in
we
his
get
in his finest fishing attire, no less.
oh yes.
Oh, naturally.
But we get the continuing trope, and this is going to be a trope that I love in the first season, and it gets even funnier in the later seasons when we do a little bit of a cast change. But you get the trope of Radar knowing exactly what someone is going to say or do before they say or do it, so he's already halfway through doing it by the time they ask for it.
Oh my god, that stuff. Oh.
That is going to be a source of continuing comedy.
Mm-hmm.
And I am here for it.
I just love Radar. Like, we haven't even gotten to the shenanigans he's going to start pulling here pretty soon with the mail. Oh, can't wait for that. That's going to be good.
Oh my goodness. So we get Henry, and something I noticed, and it probably is just of the fact that it's the pilot, but Henry's office is looking sparse. It is. It is.
I didn't really
It is
that,
a desk, a chair, and like a filing cabinet. Which is only funny to me because I know what his office ends up looking like. He's got shit all over the walls.
Yeah, it's like pretty sparse at the moment. Yeah, very obviously a set.
And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. But it's like, dang, I know it's a pilot, but can we get some set dressing, please?
They did an okay job, you know. He has he's a nice little nameplate. He's got I'm not really sure what the weird silvery metal dish pan looking thing on his desk is, but
weird silvery metal dish pan.
I'm looking at the scene and I don't see what
hang on.
About.
It said right at
that is a weird looking silvery dish pan.
It's a weird like dog food bowl, but
it looks like the bowls we'd hand out for the scouts to wipe down tables.
Yeah.
Oh, that. Oh.
Yeah.
That's an ashtray, isn't it?
Go to that's an ugly ass ashtray.
Why is it so big?
It was the 70s, okay?
It's way too big.
Have you seen any car from any year of the 1970s?
Yeah, it's a fair point.
You're my friend. I know you have.
Yeah.
I forced you to.
So not Frank. Henry agrees. I say Henry agrees. We're going to see a lot. Henry doesn't really agree to anything. People just kind of do things,
and he just
assuming
says,
Henry's
sure.
Okay with it. He's just like, I am on board until it causes trouble for me, which I agree with that sentiment. Like, do whatever you're going to do as long as I'm not involved. But then we get the montage of Hawkeye. God, I forgot how uncomfortable of a character Hawkeye is at times.
You know what? We can just say we get the montage of Hawkeye sexually assaulting Lieutenant Dish.
Assaulting's a strong word. Low-level harassment.
I would not describe breaking into the female showering area and just kind of hanging out until she notices you as low-level harassment. I'd say that's at least mid-level harassment.
I
Well,
will say this. I will say this. For as slightly lecherous and womanizing as Trapper and Hawkeye are, the series, and we talked about this a little bit last year, and I can hear myself again. But we do get some arcs in the early seasons, but also in the later seasons where they take the womanizing thing and kind of turn it on its head, or vice versa. They have a female come in who's kind of manizing. I don't know what.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure, manizing.
Yeah,
So
sure. That's cool.
as weird as it is now, and even I've been told again by my mother, who, yes, the conversations we have about MASH are gonna make it onto the podcast, Mom.
Sure
But
is.
she finds Hawkeye through the entire series incredibly annoying, to the point that annoying. Like, she gets it, but also annoying as hell.
Annoying. Yeah.
Which I get. Hawkeye is not for everybody, and even Alan Alda said he wasn't sure how to play Hawkeye at first, because Alan Alda, if you didn't know, is a huge feminist, and I say that not accusatorily or frustratedly. He just is. That's his. He is very big into women's rights, and
He respects women.
He
well,
respects
then he's an
women.
excellent actor, because I never would have guessed.
You know, that is a great point. I would have pegged him as the last person to be a feminist in this show. So,
but that's part of why I like
honor.
Alan Alda as Hawkeye, because he does it very well.
He
But
does
you'll
it very
see,
well.
especially in the later seasons, you can tell that some of the episodes Alan Alda directs are Hawkeye-centric episodes where he kind of gets his comeuppance. So it's going to be interesting. And then at the end of this montage, we get Frank and Hot Lips.
Hot
Degenerates. Lips. And then immediately Frank starts biting at her neck in the same way Hawkeye is.
Look at those animals. Goes in for the kill. And I love that just Major Houlihan's expression does not change as he does this. It just remains
menacingly
just
at Hawkeye
glares.
as Frank consumes
her eyes
the nape of
do
her
not
neck.
leave what she's staring at. They do not leave. Her expression does not change. I'm here for it. But yeah, a surprising amount of adultery in this first episode. Just like
this is, we haven't even begun to adultery.
I know. I was aware that it was it was part of the show, but it was still a little surprising to see just how much was in the show, even just in the pilot. So I'm curious to see how if there is more or less as the season progresses.
Yeah, so then we get they're starting to sell tickets. They're counting out the money. They mention they mention a couple things. They mention they have $10 for Radar's ticket, $10 for the winning ticket, and $10 for the Painless Pole, who is a character from the movie that we never see in the TV show. Which, okay. Then Frank comes in and he's being Frank.
He caught Hawkeye going through his Bible, which, to be fair, is where I'd imagine Frank would hide his money.
Yeah, probably. And I love, again, another one of the lines that I've heard it so many times, and yet it still makes me laugh, is, "I peeked at the end, Frank. The devil did it." Like, it's such a dumb joke. It's such a dumb joke, but it gets me every time.
Well, and then we get the moment in the show that I realized Frank Burns could not be saved as a character. He chases Hawkeye around, or rather, he goes around the room tearing off the pornography from the walls, and then he picks up the still. Yep. And then he breaks their fucking gin still. And as a Kansas man, I knew you are irredeemable.
And then he has like the little kid, like, "Oh geez, oh no,
oh geez, oh gosh,
I'm so sorry, I broke
sorry. Oh, I didn't think it would break. Oh, guys. Oh, listen, I just and you see them both immediately just start looking around to see what they could use to just put over him. And they both look to see the canvas bang and like, yep, we're on the same page.
Trapper literally kicks him out. Yep. Oh man.
And then Henry rescinds the passes because Frank's angry and he just doesn't want to deal with Frank. Plus, the party was going to happen when he was out of camp anyway, and he didn't want to miss it. So, good job, Henry, for being indecisive as shit.
He lets that slip to the two of them, and they go, "Oh, you're not going to be here. A perfect opportunity." Oh.
Yeah, and then I love that as Henry's leaving, we get this is more movie Radar. Radar in the first and second seasons slowly transitions from the movie version of him to the more childlike, naive kid version of him that the show runs with for the first couple seasons, which we'll talk about it more in depth as we get further into the series. But I think that was a better choice because we get some growth out of Radar because of it, as opposed to him just being this like completely put together 20-something-year-old. He's actually like an 18-year-old kid who Korea and some of the things that happen have an effect on. So, but we get movie Radar where he has completely circumvented Henry and gives Hawkeye the 2-day passes because he convinced Henry to sign them because he thought he was ordering ice cream. Which
Ripple.
Yes, I love it.
Fantastic, absolutely fantastic.
And then we get go ahead, Ethan.
No, I think we were gonna say the same thing. We get the next scene, which I thoroughly love. They just fucking drug Frank.
Yep. And if you watch, the person who hands the needle Hawkeye is Ginger Bayless, the nurse, and you can look at the look on her face is, I don't give a shit. Like, yep, he deserves this. Go ahead.
I will say the execution for that was impeccable. If I had to drug a superior officer, I would do it exactly like that.
Excellent.
If I think you mean when.
Sorry, yes. I mean, I've never done anything like this. What do you mean?
So
just
Frank's
like, hey, come here, listen to something wild. And even the soldier laying down in the bed has like a bit of a smirk going on because he's like, this is unusual. And just lift the lab coat up a bit, and Frank's little just as he gets stabbed with it. Oh, yep.
The whole scene after he gets drugged when they're moving into the bed. What's that, Frank? Okay, Frank.
Okay, Frank.
Oh, good lord!
I think I like him better this way.
I think everyone.
I'd say I do too. Yeah.
What was I going to say? So yeah, Frank's out of the picture. They throw the party. Margaret is understandably upset because Frank's missing.
Poor Hot Lips. Yes.
Man, I'm glad that her character grows out of being just angry bitch who likes Frank because
Frank.
Oh boy, does that get a little old. But yeah, that gets old. But again, kind of like with the Radar thing, it gives them room to do some interesting things with her character. So I'm looking forward to discussing that. I hate that you have that. I hate that you have that image. I hate it. I might have to
Frank with the moment of penetration. Yeah.
Please don't say the moment of penetration.
That's not inaccurate.
Oh, I hate that. All right. Anyway, so party's going. Houlihan's angry. Hawkeye basically tells her to chill out, relax. Frank's fine. Have an enjoyable evening. And then we learn that the other character trait of Margaret's, which I'm glad they eventually turn on its head and spin the other way. She apparently knows every officer above the rank of colonel in the entire Pacific Theater.
For
intimately.
No specific reason.
She knows them intimately. Hey, editing Anthony here. There's a weird cut in the audio for some reason here that I can't explain, but we were just talking about the scene where Blake and General Hammond are sitting together and they get the call from Margaret. So if it sounds like the conversation jumps forward awkwardly, that's because it does.
Yes,
General Hammond is played by the same gentleman in both film and in the first couple seasons. We'll see him a couple times. Margaret basically tells on them. She goes searching for Frank. I love that she discovers it's Frank once she sees his bare butt.
Yep.
I don't know. I nothing more to say about that other
She's
than
got a great memory.
Yeah. She's got the mind like a steel trap, that woman.
This is a friendly reminder to make sure you know what your friends' butts look like in case you ever need to identify them. Whip them out, gentlemen.
How do you whip out a butt?
How do I mute him?
I
well-
wish I could tell you that.
So we get to the party. Hawkeye's about to draw the winning ticket. Ho-John is, I think, drunk, which is an interesting choice for a child.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, I don't know how old Ho-John is. Ho-John could be an adult.
Doesn't matter. It's a
College
war.
age, let's call it 18 for legal purposes.
Let's see, hold on. What's
Sure.
the legal drinking age in South Korea?
Well,
In
this
Korea
is-
in 1950, probably 6. I don't know.
well, he's also a North Korean child, so I'd be drinking pretty heavily too if I were helping out.
No,
on a
I don't
front
think it
room.
says if he's North or South Korean.
Later in the season, it comes up.
Yeah, the legal
You're
drinking
correct.
age is
You are not
19.
wrong. You are correct. Oh, look at that.
Yeah, look at that. Look at that. Yeah. He's old enough to drink. Yeah.
So Hammond and Blake are back right as they're pulling the winning ticket. And again, this is another thing that younger me did not catch, but it finally clicked one of the times I watched the episode. I thought it was blind luck that the priest was drawn. It wasn't. They had rigged it, so no one had to go to Tokyo.
I loved that.
And and it's a shame. I say it's a shame, but it's also not. George Morgan is the actor that plays Father Mulcahy, and he only plays him in this one episode, and then they make the switch to William Christopher, which I say as a longtime fan of the show, that is the right choice. William Christopher ends up becoming a fantastic Father Mulcahy.
He does.
Well, can you
But
explain a little more as to why they did that? Because I was kind of curious about that.
Pilot and first season, there's going to be a lot of little. It's kind of like with he was hired on to play Father Mulcahy, and Father Mulcahy was going to be like this very on the cuff side character. So who played him didn't really matter at the time they started filming. So they switched him out for William Christopher, and then I think it's season 4 or 5 is when Father Mulcahy and Corporal Klinger become actual full-time regulars. So Jamie Farr and William Christopher actually sign full contracts, yada, yada, yada.
Wow.
But again, as a longtime fan of the show, I could not, it's another one of those, I can't imagine William Christopher not being Father Mulcahy because he does it so well.
He's very iconic in that role. I don't know who better could have done the role.
Because in the movie, I think we talked about last episode, in the movie he was played by Rene Auberjonois, who is, again, the only reference I can make to who he is. He's the shape-shifting head of security from Star Trek Deep Space Nine, Mr. Otto. So yeah. But no, William Christopher's perfect in the role, and we'll get to see more of him later in this season and the rest of the seasons. So yeah, the priest wins. General Hammond's pissed. But as Hawkeye said earlier, he knows he can get away with it because they're not going to arrest 2 of the 4 surgeons in the camp as casualties are coming in, which is exactly what happens. They go to surgery, yada, yada, yada. General Hammond is impressed. So impressed that he's like, I can't take two perfectly fine surgeons for something that really didn't end up becoming that big of an issue. And he even jokes with Henry and says, you don't lose them, not even to me. And he leaves camp, and Hawkeye and Trapper come walking out handcuffed.
Hey, where are you going? We're ready to go.
Yep. And then they realize, man, we screwed up in reverse. And then the show ends on time to say sayonara with the helicopter shot of them trying to chase 2 nurses in 2 different directions while they're handcuffed. So
It's perfect.
Season 1, episode 1 of MASH. So now that we're at the back end, what did you guys think? Was it what you expected? Was it?
It was definitely much more. There was a lot more adultery than I was expecting there to be. I think that's what stuck out to me the most. Yeah. I mean, I knew it was a decent part of the show, but I didn't think it would be that prevalent in the pilot episode. Yeah, I do love the kind of balancing act they have between it's it's a job, yes, but we gotta have some kind of fun as a collective group, or we'll go insane. And then you flip that switch to, well, it's an emergency. Everyone, go put on your emergency shoes and let's get it done, just flawlessly. That reminds me a lot of camp.
Yeah, that's gonna be a recurring
fun and games until it's very suddenly not fun and games.
Yeah,
I think they showed that very well.
Yeah, go ahead, Ethan.
Oh, well, I was just going to say, not only that, I said it at the beginning of the episode, but I want to say it again. I was just really surprised how well the characters were already fleshed out. Because, yeah, there's going to be changes and growth through the show, but already you've got, your kind of main core group for these first couple of seasons really fleshed out. You have a good read on who they're going to be, and more than anything, the jokes land in the pilot episode. I was not expecting to actually get as many laughs out of it as I did, and I think it's because they did such a good job getting us to know Hawkeye and Trapper and Frank in such a short period of time.
Yeah, and for both of your guys' comments, you have to remember they did have a decent amount of characterization that they went into the show with from the book and specifically the movie. Because you'll notice, and again, this is the one argument, and I'll share a comment we got on Twitter. But that's the one thing that makes me go, man, maybe we should have watched the movie first
to start it
because
off.
because if you think there's a lot of adultery in the pilot, oh boy, the show is a whole nother, or sorry, the movie is a whole nother can of beans. But so yeah, I had asked. I'll read some of the audience ones. Actually, no, I'll ask you guys first. So, like I said last week, we're going to do kind of an out of 5 rating system for each episode. Where would you guys put MASH, the first episode, the pilot, 1 to 5, where is it sitting for you? As far as, you can rate it out of all the pilots you've seen. My rating's going to be more based on I said this last week. I'm going to be a little biased. I'm going to be kind of comparing it to other MASH episodes. But for you guys, what are your thoughts?
I'd probably give it 0 to 5. So I wouldn't quite give it a 3, middle of the road, because it was better than just kind of average. So I think I'd give it a 4. It's not a 5 because it's definitely not perfect. But it was a short episode, 25 minutes, I think. Fairly short, but it used its time wisely. Got us introduced to all the characters, got us introduced to the area, the kind of the environment of fun and games. Everyone's having a good time. Helicopters are here, flip switches. Now it's a mobile army surgical hospital. Oh, we're done with surgery. Everyone's okay. Okay, everyone, back to being able to relax a little bit and have some more of the kind of funny interactions. Oh, we got more helicopters coming in. Okay, flip the switch again. That whole dynamic established that very well. But yeah, no, I think it's just a solid 4 out of 5 for me.
Nice. Okay, Wilson, what about you?
Jaski and I are kind of on the same wavelength. I think going into this, after watching it and rewatching it a couple of times, taking notes, I'm going to give this episode a 3.8. Especially as a pilot, I'm being a little more lenient this time around than I probably will be on future episodes, because I just have so much respect for how well, in my opinion, it was done. And just the quality of the acting. Alan Alda, of course, was wonderful, but Trapper, whose actor's name eludes me currently.
Wayne Rogers.
Thank you. Also did a wonderful job, and I don't know much about it other than the fact that he's only in the first few seasons, but he does very well as his own character, and I think I remember him becoming more of a sidekick to Hawkeye as time goes on. But in this first episode, to see him just kind of doing his own thing and joking around, that was really kind of a heartwarming experience. So yeah, I'm gonna say 3.8 on the pilot episode.
Okay. So for me, and this is where my bias is going to actually kind of in reverse, but my bias is going to show. I'm going to give it a 3.2 because, again, this is where me having watched the series is both a positive and a negative.
Mm-hmm.
It is not a bad pilot. It is probably one of my favorite first episodes of a TV show, period, which isn't saying much since MASH is my favorite show, but anyway. Knowing where the series ends up going, it's definitely not a bad episode, but, and I do agree with one of the comments I'll read, and I'll actually read it right now because it's pertinent to what I want to say. I asked the community at large what their thoughts on episode 1 of season 1 is. Again, this lightsaber will kill fascists. The MASH pilot gets a 3 out of 5 for them. You can tell they were still leaning into the characterizations from the movie and had not totally committed to going their own way regarding the characters. This goes for the cast as well. It takes them a while to get a feel for how to play the characters, and the pilot is also a partial adaptation of a story direct from the novel. So it's definitely an outlier and not a true feel for the season or series that follows. I would agree with that, and that's kind of why I leaned closer to a 3 than a 4.
Mm-hmm.
We also have Donut Eater 111 again. 3 out of 5 by, he says 3 out of 5 by MASH standards. Gives a good idea of who the characters are with a lot of dynamics set up right from the beginning. The story wasn't the greatest, but it was fun for what it was. Also interesting to see how much changed even within the first season. So,
yeah.
So we got two threes, and then this person rated the series as a whole, but they gave the whole series 4.5 stars, so kind of right in the middle of all our ratings from last week. But this person, Mash Pit on Twitter, great first episode, boys. Awesome hearing about the show from a group of guys my own demographic. I'm 27 and it's one of my favorite shows. Another weird parallel is that he was also a Boy Scout and a member of the Order of the Arrow, so he can't wait to hear more. So, oh god, we're attracting ourselves, and I don't know if I'm excited or terrified about that.
Yeah,
I need more friends.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Boy. We're not good enough.
But
like, funny how do I amuse you? No. So so
the story. Yeah. I will concede the story not the most compelling. Then again, most pilot episodes for TV, I do not have the most compelling story, so I kind of gave it a pass on that. But yeah, story, not the most original or the greatest, but still wildly entertaining with the execution. So yeah.
All right. So I will say, if you just listened to that and went, oh man, I watched the first episode, but I didn't get to leave my rating, that is okay, because I think the way we're going to do it is I will accept ratings for the episodes of a season up until the end of the season. So I would expect we're going to go all the way through, get to episode 24, and then we'll do kind of like a season 1 recap. And that's the deadline for getting them in. So you have basically a year to rate all of season 1. So if you're listening to this in Futureland and you're like, oh, I want to rate season 1, you can either message us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, or go back. You can see when this episode got posted, go back in time, find the post where we asked about it and leave a comment there, or email us. We will tally up the audience average up until we get to the end of the season. So right now, with everything averaging out between the audience and us, that gives the pilot a rating of 3.4, which I think is a good
out of 5.
3.4 out of 5. Yeah. I think that's a solid representation of the first episode. So the rating system is working.
Not terrible, not great, but leaning towards better than worse. So yeah, not bad.
So yeah, any other thoughts on episode 1 before we go to wrap things up?
No, I think we kind of covered everything I wanted to talk about. Yeah.
Awesome. So next, oh yeah, sorry, Ethan.
No, I just mumbled that I'm pretty pleased.
Excellent. So our next episode will be season 1, episode 2, To Market. Oh, fun. So yeah, if you have thoughts, the audience, if you have thoughts about season 1, episode 1, or episode 2, feel free to contact us via the varied social media accounts. We're on Twitter and Instagram at bestcare4077. We have both a Facebook page and a Facebook group for people who want to chat there. You can also email us directly at bestcareanywherepod@gmail.com. You can DM us on Twitter on all those social medias as well. If you want to share your thoughts, opinions, gripes, grievances, complaints, childhood memories, synopsis, soliloquies, and of course your out of 5 ratings, please do so, because we do want to hear. I'm surprised we got as many replies as we did in the first 2 weeks of doing this podcast. Like, that's awesome to me.
Yeah, audience participation is always appreciated.
We want to hear from you. I want to hear from you.
Damn it. This is a repeat after me podcast.
No,
No, it's not. All the former Boy and Girl Scouts in the audience just cringed a little bit, I think.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, until next time, then, we'll see you guys 2 weeks from now in the next episode.
Oh, man.
Yeah. It's a whole 2 weeks. I still can't believe it's been 2 weeks since the last recording.
Well, yeah. Life do be kind of crazy like that.
And we'll have to give. You don't want to talk about it. And we'll have to make sure we have an update about your wiggly eye, your thick cornea situation.
I'll have my prescription by then, so I'll be seeing MASH with a fresh pair of peepers.
Oh no, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
All you Mashiacs out there, be sure to Twitter at Jaski, reminding him to shave those corneas.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
No one's shaving any corneas, for the love of God.
All
right, everyone. And on that note, we're out. Bye, all.
The time has come for us to say sayonara.